Hi everyone, I'm Lily. This is Legit Nutrition Hawaii. Welcome. So this topic is, I feel, a reoccurring issue with anyone, literally anyone, who has chosen to switch to a vegan diet by themselves. As in, they're the only person in their family unit who decides to switch to a vegan diet. So regardless of why you initially decided to choose a vegan diet, eventually you are going to be exposed to the health benefits of veganism. And suddenly you read all of this information like, oh my god, veganism, it reverses heart disease, and it can prevent cancer, and it can cure type 2 diabetes, and it reduces the risk of Alzheimer's and stroke and kidney failure and liver disease, and on and on and on. And suddenly you're like, oh my god, my mom has diabetes. My dad has heart disease. And then there's this doctor over here that says breast cancer prevention starts when you're 2, and I have a 2-year-old niece. And you think, thank God, I'm so happy I learned all of this. All I have to do is relay it to the affected parties and they will just be stoked about taking proactive action towards bettering their health. And then what happens? 99 times out of 100, what happens? It's some variation of bacon though. You gotta die of something. Or get that tofu shit out of my face. And then you're left just sitting there with a heaping pile of your delicious tofu shit, wondering, what the fuck is the matter with these people? I mean, it was just a moment ago that you believed that they were rational, intelligent life forms. But on a more serious note, a good friend of mine who is a dedicated, informed, just like holistically compassionate woman who chooses veganism. She recently lost her dad. He got sick and he went to the hospital where he was diagnosed with pneumonia and stage 4 leukemia. And he passed away less than a week later, and it's devastating. And after he passed away, because it was so unexpected, my friend went to his home and she had to pack everything up. And when she got there, she found a kitchen that was just full of fitness protein powders and low-fat milk and portion-controlled pepperoni and all of these other foods that are purposefully marketed as being healthy. All of these foods that are marketed as being super high in the essential protein that you need to be healthy and fit and slim. And these were all the same foods that she had been warning him about for years. But the sad part, the worst part, is that he was trying. He was doing what he thought was best for his health. What he was told by marketing departments was best for his health. And it's just overwhelmingly distressing to have these abstract statements like, well, you gotta die of something, hit home so hard. It's sobering to realize that we can think we have decades with someone to try to slowly convince them of making better choices for themselves or switching to a plant-based diet, and then suddenly they're just gone. And I am definitely not implying that a plant-based diet could have or would have prevented my friend's father's death. But we have to admit that our dietary choices affect our health and thus our longevity in a real and significant way. I have other vegans friends whose parents have been diagnosed with severe heart disease or life-threatening diabetes, both of which are highly treatable and highly reversible on a plant-based diet. And my friends try and try and try to change the family to save the family member that's affected, and their help is refused. They are actively fought and sabotaged. And at some point, the affected loved one, suffers a catastrophic heart attack or goes into kidney failure and dies. And dies of preventable causes. Their lives could have been longer. They could have lived with less pain. And we know this. We know this. We know this. But we're helpless. We're denied. We're called names. We're accused of being selfish. It's mind-boggling. I made a video a little while ago about our family's reactions to veganism, and in that video I briefly mentioned how heartbreaking it is to watch members of your family eat themselves into disease or an early grave. But it's not just simply heartbreaking. It's also infuriating and frustrating, and it leaves us feeling incapable and ineffective and somehow guilty that we aren't able to communicate in the right way to get our family members to see the light. Look, guys, it is an amazingly beneficial and proactive way to spend your time by working on making your communication style as effective and non-judgmental as possible. Working on your clarity, your patience, and your concise and effective delivery, hugely, hugely beneficial. But there is literally only so much you can do. Why your family members refuse to change, it's different for each and every person. Maybe they benefit from their victimhood. Maybe they have been purposefully misled and lied to by marketing agencies or their nutritionally uninformed doctor for too long. Maybe they are incredibly overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what it could take to turn their lives around. Maybe they're in denial. Maybe they're just purely exhausted. Maybe they're just an asshole. I don't know. But whatever the reason is, it doesn't make it any more easy to watch or live through or support. And there are thousands of videos on the internet about talking to family and friends about veganism. These are positive and encouraging videos that tell stories of people who were talked to in the right way, and people who saw the light and ended up making the effort to turn their lives around and reclaim their health because a vegan family member told them about veganism or plant-based diets. You know, these stories exist. Those people exist. But let's be really, really clear. Those people that decided to make big changes in their lives did so because there was something inside of them that was ready for change. All they needed was the information, was the encouragement, was the support to make the switch, and they made it. A lot of us, though, are not dealing with people who are ready. And there is nothing we can do to make them ready. I have personal friends who were vegan for years before their parents or siblings began to take notice and decided to switch to a more plant-based diet as well. It happens, you know, people can evolve, it's possible, but people can also remain obstinate until their dying day. And that is the situation that you are completely powerless to change. And that is the situation that is going to break your heart into 1,000 pieces. So what can you do? How can you remain proactive in this kind of situation? Unfortunately, there isn't much you can do, and there are absolutely positively no guarantees that what you try is ever going to be effective. But there are a few tactics that may promise some success. First and foremost, be an example. For this to work, you have to take really, 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 really good care of yourself. If you're half-assing it and you're super stressed and you're really resentful that your family hasn't already decided to come along for the ride with you, your family, remember, those people who are looking for any excuse to dismiss you and what you say are going to pick up on those feelings of frustration and resentment and use them as reasons not to go vegan. They're going to blame your attitude on your veganism. They're going to blame your failure and your complaints on your veganism, and they are going to use it as an excuse not to change. When you are eating a high-carb, whole-food, plant-based diet, do yourself and those around you a favor and take excellent care of yourself. Be happy. Make it look good. Purposely focus on the positive aspects. Purposely focus on optimism, abundance, and the vitality that this type of diet produces. Does this mean you have to bend over and blow rainbows out of your ass 3 times a day? No. You absolutely don't have to do that. You have full permission to continue being a whole dynamic person, but you can be that whole dynamic person while acknowledging that your overall demeanor matters. Life's hard. We don't have to pretend that life isn't hard, but having a positive attitude about it matters to you, your life experience, and the experience of those around you. Oftentimes, simply having great examples is enough to slowly encourage resistant family members towards change. I'm talking like over the course of years, and I want to reiterate again that there is no guarantee that being a good example is ever going to generate any positive feedback. In fact, I have a lot of friends who, the better they get, the happier they are, the more weight they lose, the better they feel, the more people disown them, the more people unfollow them on Instagram, unfriend them on Facebook, and it fucking hurts, but you have to be ready for it, and you stay ready for it by taking really, really good care of yourself. But I do want to warn you that if your family member does eventually express interest in a plant-based diet, be very careful that you do not explode with unbridled enthusiasm. Do not overload them all at once with information and unsolicited advice and offers to help them throw away all of the food that is contained in their kitchen. Sometimes people need to move slow, and you need to respect the boundaries of the advice and the help that they actually asked you for. The second thing you can do is what I call the Hail Mary approach. This is more appropriate in situations where a family member is already dealing with a chronic disease that produces significant pain, or for someone who is dealing with a potentially life-threatening condition. You have to find some time where you can be face-to-face and preferably alone with the person, where you will be completely uninterrupted, and you very humbly express how much they mean to you and how much it would break your heart if they exited life too early, how hard it is for you to watch them suffer, and how impotent it makes you feel to have this lifestyle that could be a potential solution or resolution to this person's suffering or potential death, and to have it be completely unused. If this approach has any hope of actually being successful, it has to be based on honesty, humility, and genuine connection and compassion. Not anger, not frustration, not resentment, not shame. You'll know if you mean it, if you can't stop yourself from crying when you say the words to them. Still though, even if you do, everything right, there are no guarantees that you will be seen or heard or taken into consideration. But at least you've put your cards on the table. You won't have to have any doubts about, what if I did this, or what if I said this, or what if I had just been honest? Because if someone can't meet you in a space of vulnerable humility and honesty, and if someone doesn't have the capacity to logically and reasonably evaluate the consequences of their own behavior, then unfortunately, there's nothing you can do for them. And you have to accept that. You have to accept it so that you can deeply feel the grief of it and process it so that you can continue on with your life, loving yourself and treating yourself well and prioritizing your own health. Moving through the grief and accepting it also allows you to continue having a relationship with your family members without harboring that special flavor of resentment that will ruin the quality of your relationships. Unprocessed grief will create so much frustration and resentment and anger and guilt that it will ultimately eat you alive and erode your own quality of life. We have to stay fluid with difficult feelings. We have to let them move us, move through us, so that they won't build up and stifle our own happiness, our own ability to be a great example, our own ability to help people who do genuinely want to be helped, and our own happiness and success. Beyond those two strategies, you can try a few other things, like you can download How Not to Die off of Audibles, and you can play it on a low volume while your family members sleep, and hope that the message slowly sinks into their subconscious mind. You can print off articles about the benefits of a plant-based diet, and you can go and you can wrap their luncheon meat in it. You can hide Bluetooth speakers in the family couch and start blasting YouTube videos on veganism and health, and hope that they hear enough to change their behavior while they desperately dig through the cushions trying to get rid of the awful, obnoxious reality. You can wait until they're in the bathroom trying to take a shit and lecture them on the importance of fiber intake. Is it going to work? Probably not. Are you going to get slapped in the face? It's looking likely. We can't control or change other people. There is a limit to what we can do, and that limit starts and ends with ourselves. We can change ourselves. We can make better choices for ourselves. We can model how great it feels, how simple it is, how much joy it brings into our lives. And we can focus our attention on helping people who are ready, willing, and able to be helped. And that success can help to ease the heartbreak of not being able to help someone that we love, of watching our family members continue to make the same poor choices over and over and over again, and continuing to set themselves up for suffering and ultimately, more likely than not, a premature death. I am so sorry, I have no quick fixes to offer. As far as I have experienced, they don't exist. But literally, prioritize yourself. You being happy and healthy and successful is the best chance you and your family have for turning it around. But it's in no way a guarantee. You have to do the best you can do for yourself. Be present with your feelings and just step back, let go of control, and hope that one day someone will come to you and say, hey, I've been thinking about eating more of a diet like yours. How do I start? Alright you guys, if you liked this video, if you felt like you benefited from this video, I would be ever so grateful if you would give it a like, possibly share to people who you know are struggling with this kind of issue, and do subscribe below if you want more updates and videos from me. There's also a comment section below. I know how frustrating it can feel to be in this type of situation, how alienating it can feel. It makes you feel crazy, and it's hard to get support for that. It's hard to be so powerless, and more than anything, I don't want people to feel alone or ashamed of their powerlessness, or like they've somehow failed because they were unable to change someone else. It's not possible. Okay, I'm probably just going to like say the entire video all over again if I keep going. So until next time, make better choices for yourself and take really, really, really good care so that you can be that awesome example for the rest of the world. I will see you all soon. Thank you again. Bye.